guys, it's extremely windy. I'm using my little cheap Movo mic today instead of the Rode. I typically prefer to take the Movo out on the bike because I don't have to worry about breaking it or whatever. So I really don't know how well it does in wind, but I wanted to kind of do a shakedown run after all the mods to the bike, and so I rode out here to this little lake spot to kind of get a ride in on the bike after all the mods. But I wanted to make this video to kind of showcase what mods I've done to my Africa Twin since I bought it. I bought it completely bone stock. I didn't add anything to it from the dealer. I did build my bike for the purpose of touring. I do want it to be off-road capable for camping purposes and exploring, but I don't think it's a dirt bike, and I'm not going to treat it like a dirt bike. Although the more comfortable I get off-road, I do intend on taking it down some, fun trails and stuff and exploring. That being said, I've built it primarily for the purpose of touring. Touring, like I said, and then being able to explore off-road and go camping. So that at least you kind of have an idea of where I stand and why I selected the mods I've selected. But either way, let's get into it. I'm super happy with everything except for my handguards currently, because they're kind of ghetto rigged, but they'll be fixed soon. Alright, so for the sake of this video, I figure we'll start at the very front of the bike. Starting at the front, probably the first mod, I think. The first mod I made was the Puge, I guess is how you pronounce it. Touring windscreen. It actually came with some riser brackets. For anyone curious that's taller than me, I'm 5'11", and without using those it's perfect for me, but there's some riser brackets that bring it up even higher for taller people. So if you are interested in this windscreen, do know that it can be raised higher. I just didn't need them. What I do like about this one is it has these channels that divert the air. I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but they divert the air around you so it doesn't create any buffeting. The stock windscreen was terrible, and the stock windscreen had a hole right about here that diverted air through, which really just created a lot of turbulent air. This one drops down a little further than the stock one, actually quite a bit. I think the stock one stopped here. This one's all the way down here. So it works extremely well. While we're here on the windscreen, you can see my mount through the windscreen. One of my other really favorite mods, and I'm sorry for the wind, guys, I'm by the lake and I know it's really bad, is the Camel ADV windscreen brace. Apparently some of the Africa Twins windscreen bracketry down in the fairing with a lot of bouncing. If you put accessories up here on this bar, the weight shift could cause those welds to crack. I think it was primarily only on the 16, 17 models. This one's a 19, so I don't know that it's necessarily a problem on these, but either way, this brace kind of strengthens everything up. I mean, it's solid. I think if anything were to happen now, my windscreen's definitely going to still be intact, but it adds a bunch of basically mount points, and I've got my phone mount there now. Eventually I plan to switch to a dedicated GPS unit, and when I switch to that, I'll put it up here and probably bring my phone down to the side, or who knows if I'll even have my phone on there anymore. My next mod would probably be the Bark Busters, even though they're not fully completed. I've got the Ghetto original plastics zip tied over the backbone of the Bark Busters, but the backbone is in place. Definitely need those. I went down once on just these plastic stock handguards, but they didn't take really much of a hit, so they were fine, but I think a really good hit would have taken them out. Another favorite mod I think you should do with an Africa Twin, on kind of compounding with the windscreen. I know it's a little hard to see, it's blending in, but is this fork tunnel deflector. And all it does is kind of catch some of the air that would come straight up and deflects it more underneath it. If you can tell, but you can obviously see my hands going underneath it. It deflects the air more underneath it, so it comes through these channels. And again, you don't really notice it on normal roads, but you hit the interstate without that and with the stock screen that I had to begin with, and it was buffeting like crazy. With both of these together, I can ride all day on the interstate, and I'm super comfortable, no fatigue, no buffeting. Just to keep things in order, I'm gonna walk back around to the other side. But my next add-on to the bike, I don't know that I would consider it a mod. It kind of is, because it never leaves the bike. I keep this on all the time, is the Mosko Moto Nomad tank bag. I've got the water bladder out of it right now, because if you watch my videos, I did some winter camping and I didn't use the water bladder because I was kind of concerned it would freeze. I don't know that it would have hurt it, but I didn't use it. So the water bladder's still out, but this tank bag is amazing. I'll probably do a more thorough review specifically on it for anyone curious. It's currently, this is, I think, the Gen 2. There's another one out now after this one with some very subtle changes. They're still the same bag, just very subtle changes to it. My brother has that one, so whenever I actually get around to making the review video, I'll probably show both, so you can at least see what I'm talking about. Along with the Mosko Moto tank bag, I did the Mosko Backcountry 35s. You see that here? I chose this type of bag because I wanted the Pannier rack, I wanted the removable bags. Plus, honestly, I keep the bags on this bike almost all the time anyway. 35 liters of storage here, another 5 here, so really they're 40. All waterproof, all removable inner liners, phenomenal bags, and they come off with one latch. You can lift them straight up, so if you want to take them into a hotel or something, they're perfect for that. But along with reviewing the tank bag, I'll probably do a more official review on these. I probably should have already done one now because I've taken plenty of trips with them to really assess how they handle. I just haven't got around to it yet. One of my other favorite upgrades is the Tusk luggage rack here. I know there's a ton of them out there. I mean, you have Altrider, Outback, Motortek, of course Tusk, I believe, I don't know, there's a bunch more different ones. I can't think of them all off the top of my head, but I know there's a bunch of options when it comes to the rack. I liked this one the best because it was the exact width of the handles. So you don't have like a smaller rack that's inset. It's the exact width as the handles on the back of the bike, and there's plenty of attach points. I use it to put my other Mosko Moto bag. I have the Backcountry 40 Duffle that I usually put on the rear when I'm traveling. I don't always have to have that bag. I just like having it because I usually put my camping gear up there, and then I use the side bags for whatever, and I usually still have enough space to, you know, stop at the store or whatever and not really have to worry about space. As far as the rack goes, can't really see it, but it's a Outback Motortek rack on the rear. Super solid. I liked this rack because it doesn't use these factory Pannier pockets to mount. It's actually fully mounted into the frame. There's a lot of work to get it in there because you have to take the whole rear end apart, but I think it's worth it in the long run. Speaking of Outback Motortek, I also went with the Outback Motortek Max protection combo. I think it's Max. It might be Ultimate. Either way, it's the combo that comes with the skid, the lower engine guards, the mids, and the uppers. So it's the complete package. They are extremely, extremely solid. Right now, I guess you could probably tell, I've got my Insta 360 mount on there, which honestly blends right into the bike. I mean, if you're looking for it, you know it's there, but if you're really not looking for it, that mount is perfect where I put it. So I may leave it there for the most part, and then when I want to use it, just pull it out and slap the 360 on it, get some shots, put it back in. But either way, The install videos on these, I didn't do one because Outback Motortek did an awesome job of explaining it. They do it in steps. So you start with the middle, then you do the lower, and then the upper and the bash plate. I guess you don't have to do it in that order, but you are going to do the middle and the lower first because they connect to a lot of the same bracketry on the front of the frame. But the bash plate down here also super solid. Covers the exhaust completely. There's very little room between here for anything to get in. The engine guard bar, I like this bar here being here to protect the side of the engine case, and there's one on the other side as well for the other side of the engine case. It's just all around a pretty great setup as far as protection goes. I really don't think we're gonna have any trouble with that. Another mod recently is these, I don't know if you can see them, it's kind of glaring a little, but it's these Camel ADV Footpegs. I got rid of the stock ones that were just a little small. I mean, the stock one would have fit in the center of those, and got these Camel ADV ones. These just, I feel much more planted on them, even though they're not that much bigger because I didn't want a really long foot peg. But they feel great, and the little pegs grip your boots really well. I put the spare pegs that they sent me in my tool case, so if I'm ever to lose one, I've got spares. The other mods are the Camel ADV heavy duty side stand, kickstand. It's the camel toe footprint, which, I mean, you know, come on, that's funny in itself. So I got the camel toe side stand. It's the wide foot. As you can see, I'm sitting in sand right now, and it's having no problem. And it's also a heavy duty steel for the construction of it. So it's much more solid than the aluminum factory one. The aluminum one, you could actually see it give a little. I never had any personal issues with it. Some people said they broke, and I know you're not supposed to mount the bike by standing on the pegs with the side stand down with the stock one. This one you can. I can pivot the bike on this one. I don't have to worry about it bending or breaking. The other thing I added was a center stand because, let's be honest, chain maintenance without a center stand just kind of sucks. I'm so happy to have that center stand. If nothing else for the chain maintenance, it's worth it. I can also, of course, pop the tire off if I need to and work on the bike. So that's super helpful. But anyway, guys, I think that pretty much wraps it up. This is my 2019 Africa Twin, my baby, and I absolutely love this bike. If you have any questions about anything, because I kind of went through it fairly fast, or you just are curious about how something works or goes together, feel free to ask. I'm happy to answer any questions, and look forward to really testing more of this stuff out here soon. I have a camping trip coming up in the next couple weeks, another little small one, so that should be good. I'm in the process of moving too, so that's kind of put a little bit of delay on my camping and motorcycle trips, but I'm gonna fit at least a small weekend trip in here soon, so we should get to test more of this. And anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and ride safe, and I'll check you out on the next one.